Time for our top story now. Labour will announce today that it will fully nationalise Britain's railways if it comes into power.
The party is calling it the biggest overhaul to our railways in a generation. Well, TalkTV's political correspondent Alicia Fitzgerald is back with us, alongside political journalist and broadcaster Theo Usherwood. Theo, good morning.
Good morning.
First time
Welcome
ever.
to the show.
Maybe, yes.
And welcome back, Alicia. Can we just if we can start laying it out, Alicia? What does this... What does it mean? Because I think a lot of people, probably like me, what's the difference between privatisation and nationalisation?
Well, I'm trying to explain it in a way that actually means something to the
public.
I'll
understand, is what you're saying.
just for Jeremy. So I think the headline thing about this is that the incentive for private companies to increase their prices and have more passengers at the moment means that they're trying to generate profit that way. If it becomes publicly owned, there's less incentive to do that, meaning there's a chance that prices could go down and that trains won't be as, you know, when you get on a train, it's jam-packed and you can't get a seat. There's a chance that that could stop as well. So that's kind of what it would mean for the public, potentially, if Labour's plan goes well. So that just incentive for these private companies just be increasing their fares could go down, and it just goes into public ownership.
And Theo, when you compare the price of a train ticket in the UK to our European counterparts, it's absolutely staggering.
They rise exponentially.
Yeah.
But this is, of course, happening because Keir Starmer has the room politically to do it. This is a policy actually first dreamed up by Jeremy Corbyn back in 2017.
Are we allowed to say that?
It would never...
Would Starmer want to admit that?
No, but you could never imagine Ed Miliband in 2015 coming up with this policy because he'd be branded a socialist. He'd be Red Ed all over again. So Keir Starmer has the ability to announce this policy.
The political capital.
The political capital to do it because the railways are in such a bad state.
And do you think that also, we were talking yesterday, and it's the thing that we've done quite a lot on this show, the state of our water companies and how these bosses are getting £4 billion bonuses, and yet there's sewage in every sea and every river, and bills are going through the roof. The other side, which I have to give is, which is what I was trying to say earlier, in the past, nationalised industries always fail because, this will get on like a lead balloon, every union that wanted to get a pay rise went to the Labour government, got 30%, prices did go up, and the taxpayer bailed out. But Nick said to me, the taxpayers had to bail out private companies as well.
Well, of course, the Thames Water now has £15 billion of debt. When it went into private ownership, it was debt-free. So that's the mess they're in. And this is it's the same narrative. But, of course, privatisation was the big, part of Margaret Thatcher's, her whole raison d'etre, and now, of course, it's been seen to fail. And railways are the big failure. It's the one we all see because we can't get a train when we want to, we're stuck at home, we can't get to the office, and it's a mess. And that's why Keir Starmer, on the one hand, could say we're going to renationalise, and then you have Rachel Reeves, the Shadow Chancellor, coming out and saying we're the party of pro-business. Any ideology in this area has gone out the window.
How do you think this is going to play out with the electorate? Because so often there becomes this debate between, well, there's not enough investment, we should be nationalising the railway, whereas I expect that the government will come out in response to that and say, well, no, it's because of these union leaders who've been on strike, that's why the railways aren't working.
Well, actually, in surveys, it seems overwhelmingly that the public are in favour of renationalising the railway system.
Does it?
That seems to be the overwhelming sentiment. I mean, obviously, there will be people who feel strongly the other side, but overall, it does seem that the public think this is a good idea. And I think let's also just touch on the fact that this is renationalising. It's not nationalising for the first time. This happened under Clement Attlee's government in the 1940s, and then it was John Major who reversed that and then privatised the trains. And lots of people say that you can quite clearly see that from that point, that's when we started to see these problems.
But I mean, I think that even staunch Tory voters would go, hold on a second, and I go back to the water companies, because if I was trying to argue this policy, I would use this as an example. If you are a Thames Water customer, and you see rivers and you see seas full of sewage, you see people getting £4 million, not £1 billion worth of it, and your bill goes up by 200%, you are going to go, hold on a minute, that has got to be a private company taking them out of me. And I suspect, I've been on some really good train runs. LNER to Newcastle's amazing, right? I went on one the other day,
expensive,
simply to Woking, that I have seen even the toilet here in this building, which is a disgrace. Honestly, it was a disgrace, Nick. And you think, how much do you charge? I think it was 20 quid for a ticket. Dreadful, mate. Full of rubbish, dirty as hell. So I get it. And I would never have said that. I'd have gone, hold on a minute. But I think that Starmer, I think you're right, Theo. I think he has the political capital, but I don't think it will go... I think further down the line there will be problems with it. I can see that.
I think the Tories are going to go away. They're going to look at their own internal polling. If it looks favourable for Starmer, they're just going to nick the policy. They're going to say, we're going to price match you on that, and we're going to do exactly the same thing. They're not going to allow Starmer to have a really popular policy and not promise to do the
Well,
same.
they did that with the non-dom thing, but then yesterday, here's the other thing, we're talking about the defence cuts. I'd love your take on this, both of you, because yesterday Sunak goes to Germany, we're going to spend 2.5 by 2030 of GDP on the defence. Labour hasn't said the same yet, is that right?
They said that they will if the conditions
It's
allow.
also it's also a bit of a he's done the numbers a bit. It's a bit sleight of hand from Sunak because he's lumped in the intelligence budget as well, so he's not getting it.
There's an election coming, man.
But he's not just gone straight to 2.5%.
Did you ever think that you would be in a world? I didn't think I'd ever be in a world where I would sit doing this and listening to the Labour Party saying we're not doing something until we can afford it, and our Prime Minister, a Tory Prime Minister, saying we're going to do it anyway. I mean, that is a 360 since Corbyn went by a mile, isn't it, Theo?
Well, it's about Labour being trusted on the economy. It's always been their weak point, their Achilles heel. And what Starmer doesn't want to do, and this is why he reversed that plan for that £28 billion being spent on green investment, what he doesn't want to do is any Tory voters to suddenly feel like they want to be sick into their hydrangeas because they think that, because they're suddenly looking
Why
at...
hydrangeas?
Well, I don't know, don't Tories have hydrangeas?
I think it's a very Tory flower.
It is a Tory flower.
It's a Tory
But they
flower.
don't want that because suddenly they think that Labour are going to come in and just spend money all over the place.
But I mean, but in terms of ideology, in terms of what I was trying to say to you about how people see it, I was brought up, right, by, a Tory mother and father. They talked about fiscal responsibility, low taxation, a secure border, and a strong military.
And
we've got the highest... And hydrangeas.
Secure the border of
hydrangeas. Very good, I love that. We've got the highest taxation in 70 years. We've got an appalling immigration problem that needs sorting, and our military's on its knees. So, I mean, what I'm saying is...
But this is a problem for the Conservative Party.
Yeah, I
They've
agree.
got to go, let's presume...
tend to their hydrangeas.
Starmer's going to win the election, and they've got to go away in opposition and figure out what the hell they're going to do in order to be relevant in the 21st century.
Yeah, it's interesting, because in all of those areas that you just listed, that, as you say, they were always the things that people would associate with the Conservative Party. But now you can see again and again, we're seeing more people saying that they actually trust the Labour Party more with those key things: the economy, defence spending, the military. All of these things that were so quintessentially Conservative just don't seem to be in their territory anymore.
Completely.
Well, we'll move on to another topic now. We spoke to you about this in the first hour, Alicia. But Theo, you look like a very tall man. You're sat down. I can't quite tell.
6 foot. Just 6 foot.
Oh,
Must be
so you would...
difficult to bend down and tend to your hydrangeas being that tall.
You would never be accused of being pint-sized, I'm sure. But do you think it's an appropriate label for Angela Rayner to call Rishi Sunak?
If any Labour politician has the right to get personal with the Tories, it's Angela Rayner. So she has obviously decided not to channel her inner Michelle Obama, which is when they go low, we go high. Forget that. She's going for them. She's going to get personal with them.
Well, we know why.
Well, yeah, because she's taken so much flack.
Well,
why should she sit there?
Attack is the best form of defence. I mean,
Exactly.
if you say that point, which I take's fine. If you get that point, you've got to answer me this question.
Go on.
Why the hell won't this woman, who I think is a breath of fresh air, and I've been saying this Nick knows for 2 weeks, if she's telling the truth, give the facts about your tax thing. Come on, love. I don't understand it at all. I've no understanding. They are making a rod for their own backs, and I don't think Starmer's that bothered about her.
Just on that, I think the problem for Angela Rayner is that Keir Starmer doesn't actually have... one swallow doesn't make a summer with this policy around rail fare, rail renationalisation. It's one big policy, chunky policy. But up until now, the whole Labour pitch has been we're not the Tories, and we're not corrupt, and we're not going to behave badly. And now, of course, the problem for Angela Rayner, I don't know whether she's done anything right or wrong. I doubt many of your viewers know whether she's done anything right or wrong.
But then show us if you haven't.
But the issue is, Jeremy, is that the whole point of Labour at the moment is we're not the Tories. We've got nothing to hide. And that Angela Rayner, because of this whole issue, is the focal point. She's the lightning rod. She's the lightning rod for that attack. Now, I think she's got every right to go in on Rishi Sunak with that. But one thing I would say as a caveat is that next time the Tories come back with a personal attack, you just got to take it on the chin. You can't then suddenly say, "Oh, woe me, I've just been attacked. I've just had a personal attack."
As Nicola said earlier, that actually what we're talking about is the average person, I hate that word, but it's true, will look, and this is my big fear, I said this to you earlier, Alicia, that people are so fed up with our politicians. We can talk about rent boys and cocaine with the Tory party, but the fact is most people will look at all of our politicians and go, really? We're going through this, and that's what you do?
That's exactly what the Tories want. But look, let's think about Rishi Sunak. He's on the world stage. He's there, promising more money for Ukraine, talking big on defence. And all it's about, what it's about doing for Angela Rayner, Pint-Sized, it's such a word, it's about emasculating him, pointing to his height. Little Rishi poking up over the altar, and lectern even, just trying to get his voice heard. He's got that slightly high-pitched intonation, and that's what it's about, just trying to sow in the people's minds that Rishi Sunak isn't that man, a stature. And let's not forget, of course, Keir Starmer isn't, I think he's about the same height as Rishi Sunak, but what Angela Rayner is trying to do is just trying to emasculate him in front of the voters. That's what she's trying.
You think that some voters might actually see a woman standing up for herself?
Yeah, see a woman standing up for herself, and also see a man that they don't quite think is up to being, you know, the job of leading this country. That's what she's trying to. She's just trying to undermine him, chip away at his confidence.
It certainly worked in terms of what we're talking about today. The phrase we're discussing is pint-sized rather than, you know,
I
second
am
home.
compared to you, Theo, pint-sized, and I don't mind anybody saying.
He has his chair pumped up as high as it can be. I'm very, very low here.
Right, watch. She's absolutely.
If I go normal.
Right, and that's why.
That's why
for the last 6 months,
our chairs
every morning, because she is 8'7" and I'm 3'9".
There we go. Right.
I'm still smaller than you, woman.
Thank you
That's
so
why
much.
I do that the whole time.
Thank you so much
Watch
to TalkTV's political correspondent Alicia Fitzgerald and political journalist Theo Usherwood. Thank you both.